everybody. This is Anthony Brogdon. Man, I'm coming at you again on Strong Inspirations, where I give it to you straight, no chaser. I just am a lucky guy. I call it lucky now that I'm finding these people, these intelligent, these conscious, these activists, historians, these people who want the thing to happen and level. When I say the thing, I'm talking about to level the playing field, to keep history and in particular Black history alive, and to share this with you. I'm so excited of the brother that's on the channel. Let me tell you, just a second ago, he wanted to come on and he was driving. I said, man, no, we can't have that. I hate for you to have an accident trying to tell the story. So he's, we waited a little bit. He got where it was, and now he got a bridge behind him. He that bad. He flew in the air and got a bridge behind him. Man, this guy know what he's talking about. Watch it. I'm gonna let him tell it. I got a few things before he come on, and I'm gonna go fast because I know he's running and gunning, like I told you. I got a festival I'm doing in Quindaro, Kansas, Memorial Day weekend 2022. Just stay close to me, right? And you'll get the details. I want 1,000 folks to show up. We'll be ready for about 1,000 people to show up. We're gonna party in a barn on Friday night. Saturday, we're gonna take tours of the area, and we're gonna have a picnic. And then Sunday, we're gonna have a church service and libations and so on and so forth, and connect with our ancestors. So that is Memorial Day weekend at I think the 27th, 28th, 29th May 2022. How about this? I want you all to hit the subscribe button on the channel. It's free. I went over 500 subscribers 2 days ago. I'm at 506. I want to explode to 5,000 in the next 4 months. By the end of this year, I want to be at 5,000 people who subscribe to the channel, who then are telling other people, so that we can grow and blow up, so that all this good history is circulating through the world. How about this? I got an interview with a lady out of Australia. She's gonna tell some Black history. How about this? I got an interview with a lady out of Elaine, Arkansas, gonna talk about the Elaine Massacre. Had you heard of that one? It was just as devastating as Tulsa. It just didn't get that didn't get the recognition. We're gonna recognize it. So watch out for that interview. I got an interview with a guy out of Boise, Idaho. He said Black folks had a good fair shake in Boise. It's just not a lot of us. And it's gonna blow your mind. Like what I told you before, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, because my man is committed to the cause. Hit the notifications bell so that when the videos come up, and I'm doing 4 or 5 of them a week or more. I just posted one. A guy found his family going back to the mid-1700s. Just posted that. And tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Come on, y'all. I know you're doing it because I know my numbers is up. Watch my movie, Business in the Black. It's on Amazon. 75 powerful minutes. I produced it. So I give it to you real good, right? Slaves who went to college and Black millionaires in the 1800s. It's called Business in the Black. And then read my book, Black Business Book. The book is very powerful. You're gonna be surprised at how inexpensive it is, because I'd rather you have it than me have it. It's over 200 facts, 200 facts. And I don't give you no commentary, I just give you the fact. Let the fact stand on its end. I give you the link of where I found it. And if you know every fact in this book, I give your money back. A book with a money back guarantee. every 10th book I sell, I donate one to a school because I want the teachers, because I didn't know this stuff. No one taught me this. I just know they didn't. I don't think I slept through all them classes. So I want you to get a copy of Black Business Book. Go to my website, everybody. It's real easy. It takes you 10 minutes to order the book. My website is businessintheblack.net, not .com, .net. Businessintheblack.net. Go to my website and order my book. You hear me use the word strong a lot, right? I know my man waiting on me. He's moving around and stuff like that. Give him one more second. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. That's my introduction to the brother that's coming on the channel. He a strong man. All right, come on, introduce yourself. Let's get it on.
I'm Dr. James Tucker. I am a retired educator. I'm a decorated combat veteran with 3 Bronze Stars. I attended Rush College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, where I received my training as I would say they trained me to be a historian. And what's important about that is that I had a white professor who would not give me an A in her class unless we did something to make history. And of course, we made history by making it possible for students to be able to vote in any community where they attended college. Prior to that, if you went to a black college or a white institution, you could not vote. But we had to file a lawsuit in order for college students to be able to vote. I was not able to. Our goal was to basically take over the city as college students. I was not able to become an elected official, but my brother, Don Lee Tucker, he became the first election commissioner in Holly Springs, Mississippi. So you're talking to an activist, an educator, and basically a publisher of the newspaper, because I published the African American Voice newspaper. And over 30 years ago, I was introduced to Juneteenth while serving.
Hold on. Before you get to the Juneteenth, I got to stay on you a little bit, man, because I'm digging where you're coming from. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Boot Hill, a place called New Madrid, Missouri.
And you call it the Boot Hills?
Yeah, it's one of the poorest areas of the United States of America. I was born, my mother was a single parent, but thank God for the uncles and aunts and family members and people in the community who guided me properly.
And why there? Why were they living there? How did they find that place? Have you traced it to why they got to that city and that town, that rural area?
Yes, on my father's side, they came from Arkansas, and on my mother's side, they came from Mississippi, and I've been able to trace my roots back to Cameroon, Africa, Nigeria, where I had an opportunity to go back quite a few years ago to connect with my lost relatives.
So now you traced your family back. You go to the enslavers. Did you find them?
I found the villages, some of the villages where our ancestors came from. Arizona State University, there's Dr. Aubrey. Lisa has done a lot of the research, and she played a major role in finding the slave ships, and also the last slave ships came to the United States, and she's been deeply involved in that. But her group is called Roots Connection. And of course, roots and reconnection, your powers and your roots. Also, I went back through a sister by the name of Ada Brown. She's with a group called Roots to Glory.
Okay.
And she's responsible for taking thousands, probably thousands at this particular time, people back to their ancestors' roots and our ancestors' roots in Africa. So I've had quite a bit of experience of traveling. And of course, my wife is a minister. I've had an opportunity to go to Uganda, South Sudan, India, many different places around the world.
Oh, and I love it.
It's so important for us to not have our history distort, and that's why I'm so dedicated and committed to make sure that Juneteenth, I know you want to talk about, but Juneteenth,
we're gonna get to it,
properly told.
Okay, let me ask you this here. How did you come from the background that you come from, the small town, and you've exploded on the scene to be international. How did that happen for you as a person?
Well, you got to realize, and we as African Americans, we've got away from what got us where we are today, and that's God, religion. But God direct our steps, and it's important for us as African Americans to stop trying to be everything to everybody and do everything for everybody, and take time out just to listen, to get connected with God, spend some
I
time
love
with
it.
Him one, and I guarantee you, your life will be different.
Okay, let me ask you this. So how did, when you were 15 and 14 and all that growing up in the rural area, how about this? This is a deep question, and I use the word too. Were you ever called a nigger?
Yes, I was. You got to realize I worked on the farm, picked cotton, chopped cotton, baled hay. I did a little bit of everything, and
Oh, did you?
I played on a high school basketball. I was a captain of high school basketball team, and we were undefeated in regular season. And of course, I had players call me niggers, yes. But that's not the only time. I'm also coach high school basketball. I was the first African American coach in Colorado Springs to take a girls basketball team to the state tournament finals. And we would go to some of the towns in Colorado. This is in my lifetime, and those
Yeah.
white folks would call us niggers. They would try to hurt our kids, try to run over them. I experienced all kind of things. So but that's the country we live in, and that's why we got to educate our people, make sure they're properly educated and understand the world we're living in.
Okay, let me ask you this. In your town, were there plantations and stuff like that? You picked cotton. Was that a plantation?
No, it was like sharecropping, but there's a sister you can talk to at Jackson State. She can tell you where plantations still exist in Mississippi. Her name is Cassie Turnipseed, I believe, and she can give you information where some still exist today. And we can talk about that later.
Okay, now, you said you picked cotton. Was you any good at it?
No, man, my goal was to pick 100 pounds. The only way I picked 100 pounds, I had to put dirt, rocks, and everything else in my sack.
I like it. Did you go a whole row?
Yeah, we went a whole row. Yeah, I went to country with my mother and relatives, and I would be picking alongside her.
Did you get your hands cut from the stone? The things in the cotton? Was that hard work?
Oh yeah, chopping cotton was too. I would come home in the afternoon. It'd be so hot I could look at something and I see grass all on a banister, all on the floor. That's how hot it was and how bad it was.
But then you went from there to get your education.
I went from there and went to college, Russ College in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Yes, and also a graduate of Tuskegee University, and have 3 honorary degrees.
Man, I love it. And so, when in your town, did you see black only, white only signs?
Yes. We had to order food at the back of the restaurant. We weren't allowed to go in front of the restaurant, and they also considered passing a law where blacks would have to get off the sidewalk if white folks were on the sidewalk. But I don't think that law passed when they was trying to do it. But
they were trying to pass a law that you couldn't be on the same side of the sidewalk?
Yes, with whites. But some blacks are off the side anyway because that's what they expected.
Okay, I got one more question, then we're going to go to the Juneteenth because I like what you're doing, what you're saying. Did you ever have a fight with some white kids?
I didn't. I was a young guy, but the older guys, they used to fight with them all the time. Yes, they would fight with them. In the theater, and it's still there in the community today. We would sit upstairs and they would sit downstairs, and the blacks would always be throwing ice and paper and everything over the counter because they would be calling us niggers and everything else in the theater. And after the theater was over, the movie was over, they would go outside and get it on.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, did you know your place as a black kid growing up that you can't do certain things and had to respect that, and that was just a way of life?
That's what I told you. We could not go in the front of a restaurant. We had to go to the back door to order our hamburgers. We had all the nightclubs, and things like that were in the back of the saloon. And of course, we actually had a segregated community, except there was a white guy who lived right next to us, and I just recently bought that property in all black neighborhood. And of course, you know, it was known that it was segregation. I went to a segregated school, yes. O'Bannon Elementary School, O'Bannon High School, it was called.
Did you ever have any white friends?
I have very few friends. Yeah, when I played basketball, everybody your friend, especially when you're a winner.
Yeah. So now we're gonna go from that. Now you've dedicated your a bunch of your years understanding Juneteenth.
Yes, I've dedicated my life we dedicated our life to make Juneteenth a national holiday, and it was called a modern day Juneteenth movement. And I was introduced, as I tell my history, I know there's people out there trying to get history, but I've got the history and documentation.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Ron Meyer was the founder of the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation. I was involved with it before they established the organization. He was involved with it.
Now, where's he from?
He's born and raised in Chicago, but he spent his time in Mississippi working in the Delta, working with the poor people who could not afford medical care. And even the white doctors went after him because he would provide service or did trade with people to provide medical care for the people in the Delta.
Okay.
But I was introduced to Juneteenth in 1991. How was I introduced to it? I was introduced to it because one of Dr. Ron Meyer's best friends was a surgeon who worked with Dr. Myers in the Delta in Mississippi, and I met him in a war zone in Iraq, and we worked together, spent a lot of time together. And he shared information about Dr. Myers, and when I came back, I was successful in doing the first Juneteenth in 1991 in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Yeah, and when he introduced me to him, Dr. Myers talked about the modern day Juneteenth movement in 1991.
But had Juneteenth, but people had been celebrating Juneteenth before then. It just now became an official foundation, organization, so on and so forth, would you say?
Well, they've been celebrating, that's true, but Dr. Ron Myers and a few other people, he's responsible he's a founder of the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation. He laid the foundation for Juneteenth to become a national holiday. We have a public campaign, the late Dr. Ron Myers' public campaign to educate people about Dr. Ron Myers and what Juneteenth is about.
Okay, what is Juneteenth?
Juneteenth, well, basically, it's the day that the slaves learned they were free in Galveston, Texas, which was on June 19th, 1865.
And so they learned it, and can you imagine there was a party that day?
No, it wasn't a party that day. They didn't really do a real celebration till probably about a year afterwards. I mean, you know, they were excited, I imagine, but I doubt if they were partying. No, they weren't partying, man. I mean, those white folks were mad as hell that their slaves would be no longer work for them and provide free labor for them. And you know how hostile those white folks are. I mean, common sense would tell you that there was no party. Those white people were still rebellious. They were rebellious because they didn't want to free their slaves.
Okay, now, so let me ask you this then. What do you think happened that day when they found out? Did they, I mean, it's all kind of stories, but did they say, okay, now that we got to free you, what happened the next day? What could you imagine?
I can't really imagine, but I imagine some, if they could leave, they left, and some probably stayed because they just had nowhere else to go. For those whites who would keep them on their plantations. But it's important to understand the history of Juneteenth. And I'll just give you, for example, September 22nd, 1862. That is, which is this month, September. That's when Abraham Lincoln, the Union, had won a major battle. Abraham Lincoln had no intention of freeing the slaves. His OR objective was two. Number one, save the Union and keep the Union together. So on September 22nd, Abraham Lincoln told the Confederate states and the Confederate leaders that they returned to the Union by January 1st, 1863, that they could keep all their slaves. Now that was like that was basically you know, he was trying to do it, but you know, they would not do that because the Confederate was a separate state that had their own president and legislators. Another important thing about June 1st, 1863 is the fact that slaves stayed up all night long. That's called watch night. They stayed up all night long waiting for January 1st to come in so they would be free. And of course, the Emancipation Proclamation did not free one slave on January 1st, 1863. In fact, the Union states kept their slaves. It was only applied to the Confederate states, and they had no intentions of coming back to the Union nor keeping their slaves. And let's just talk a little bit more about Juneteenth.
Right.
What does Juneteenth mean? What does the legislation mean? It means nothing to African Americans. The only people going to benefit from the Juneteenth legislation and bill are the descendants of slave owners. And when I say that, the people who will benefit are going to be the factory owners who are going to be making all the paraphernalia, t-shirts and other things, the transportation industry, the hotel industry, and city government, because when you put on an event or festival, you got to pay those taxes. You got to pay insurance to insurance companies. They would benefit. You got to pay to use a park. Like this year, we had to pay $1,000 use a park and also $500 deposit. And you know, only people gonna benefit from Juneteenth will be the descendants of slave owners and these racist white folks in this country.
You think we should celebrate Juneteenth?
Yes, we should celebrate Juneteenth. I think we should define Juneteenth. First of all, you got to realize that Juneteenth did not free all the slaves. States like Delaware and a few other states did not free their slaves till after the 13th Amendment was passed in 1865. And therefore, the last slaves were not freed in the United States of America on June 19th, 1865.
Okay, with that said, so we had to say that the 13th, 14th Amendment freedom. When is the last day that all the slaves were free? What day could we say that is?
Well, allegedly it was December, I believe December 6, 1865, when the 13th Amendment was passed. But there's a clause in the 13th Amendment which continued to make Black people slaves because, you know, they imprisoned Blacks on Mickey Mouse charges. They put them in prison, and then that's when you became a slave all again in their institutions. So we're still not free because we have too many people in prison who are, if you read the 13th Amendment, in fact, we passed out a Constitution at our Juneteenth event right here. We made it free to all people, and I still pass them out, Constitution free. And I encourage individuals to read the 13th Amendment because the 13th Amendment, for the most part, does not made it legal, slavery legal in the prison systems. It says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction.
Wow.
So you know, we are still fighting for our freedom in this country. That's how that's the people in prison. That's how they continue to make us slaves, and they don't want us to. They do not want us to be free. We're still in a crisis in this country.
Yeah, I got you there. So you say your organization has an event. When is your events, and where are they held? Tell us about them.
Let me just tell you this right here. Dr. Ron Myers, and I hate to put this information out there because some of the people who are trying to steal Dr. Ron Myers' legacy do not know this information. But I will tell you, and it's if they knew anything about him, they would know it. But Dr. Myers always advocated for the third Saturday in June to be Juneteenth. And I will always host it on the third Saturday. Why? Because he didn't ever believe that the United States government would make Juneteenth a paid holiday. And that's why he advocated for the third Saturday, because he said the corporation business would not have to pay their employees to be off. But that's history, brother.
But do you hold an event somewhere yourself, or?
Yes, I did an event in Colorado Springs from 1991 to 2016 when I left. I moved to St. Louis, Missouri, where I stayed involved. I publicized it and kept information in the newspaper. This past year, we hosted a Juneteenth Caribbean Heritage Walkathon.
Okay, I love it.
We had 51.4 million views. We had thousands of shares. And of course, we had one of the most successful events in the city. Mayor Tashara Jones was the honorary chairperson. And of course, we passed out constitutions. And we also had an exhibit. I have, for the most part, after 30 years, I have enough materials to open a museum. But we had probably about 25, 30 tents in the park. I had exhibits of the history of Juneteenth. I had all information for the last 30 years since I've been working with Dr. Ron Myers. We had a walkthrough history where I documented all the things related to Juneteenth, where individuals walked through, read signs, and also they were able to take pictures and things like that.
I got you. What with the T-shirt you have on? What is that?
This T-shirt says Juneteenth Caribbean Heritage Festival. That's why he's still in Colorado Springs. And
Okay.
Dr. Meyer and I used to go back and forth because he did not think that the Caribbean should be involved with Juneteenth. But I used to always tell him that June is National Caribbean Heritage Month. And when you think about the Caribbean, for an example, my ancestors probably when they brought my family here as slaves, for every 10 slaves, 8 went probably to Jamaica on my mother's side.
Oh, really?
On my father's side, and 2 came to the United States. So we're connected. And I feel like this is a time for us to connect with our brothers and sisters globally. I'm gonna say it again. June is National Caribbean Heritage Month. June 19th is Juneteenth. Also, June is you have International Sickle Cell Day. That's one of the things that Dr. Ron Myers promoted. June is Black Music Month.
Right.
We have so many things to I wouldn't say celebrate, but to educate our people about.
I got you
Now,
on that point. Yeah.
The story. What do we want? We want reparations, number one. Number two, it's time that the United States government make funds available to conscious African American, not those who are selling us out, because we have a lot of them selling us out and they get the money and won't do anything. So we need to focus on getting money in the hands of conscious African Americans to educate people about Juneteenth, National Caribbean Heritage Month, International Sickle Cell Day, and Black Music Month.
I love it. As we come to a close, do you have a website, or is that how people can find more about what you all and the things that you advocate for? Is that somewhere like your newspaper, that kind of thing?
Well, the newspaper is called African American Voice, voice.net. You can always go to the website and learn about art. African American Voice.
Okay.
We sponsored the Juneteenth Caribbean Heritage Walkathon through African Rising Together, Art 2063, Africans Rising Together. And that's an international organization where we sponsored the first Juneteenth event in the city of St. Louis since I moved to St. Louis.
I got you. I love it.
And if you go art2063.org, you will be able to find our website.
All right. Everybody, this is, I told you I find these conscious brothers, man, these strong guys that come from whatever kind of circumstances and they rise above that and get education and then spread that knowledge around the world. My man been everywhere. You blew me away. I'm so happy I found you. I'm gonna come down wherever you are and shake hands and we're going to break bread. We're going to celebrate Juneteenth as you see fit. I love it. I appreciate what you're doing.
Well, there's no right or wrong way to celebrate Juneteenth. The most important thing is to educate people about Juneteenth and ensure that our history is told properly. We must not allow people to distort our history.
I got you. I'm with you on it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. You've man, I want everybody to like this video because he gave it to you straight, no chasing.
But it's important for you to know that the president of the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation is Miss Sylvia Myers. She's a wife of the late Dr. Ron Myers, who was the founder of the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation, and she is responsible. They are responsible. Dr. Ron Myers and Sister Sylvia Myers are responsible for Juneteenth becoming a national holiday. They're responsible for getting 47 states and contacting legislators, working directly through the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation to get them to make Juneteenth a national holiday.
everybody, man, did I tell you, we give it to you straight, no chaser, and that's what he just did. We can keep going, but we're gonna have to stop somewhere. We're gonna stop right there with him giving it to you like that. To you, my brother, I say, I want you, and with all sincerity, to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love what you're doing. I love it. I love you telling this story. And to the other people that are part of the organization, I love them too. Thank you. Juneteenth is coming on strong, and it's coming on stronger as a result of that. So everybody, we're gonna say bye-bye. We out. Have a lovely day.
Stay strong, brother.